Hello, this is Tigress Nisha and welcome to No Man's Sky. This is video 3 of my series of tips, tricks, strategies, and overall advice about the game. So today, I think it's getting into some of the nitty-gritty and fun parts. Not that other stuff isn't fun about the game, but this kind of gets into the nitty-gritty of some of the other aspects of the game. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a little bit about base building. We're going to be talking about refining, and we're going to be talking about extracting. Okay, and in video 4 we're going to be talking about farming, which ties back into extracting and refining, and I kind of tie it all together there. But today we're just going to start with the refining and extracting. Okay, so first let's talk about base building. Okay, and I'm talking about just your regular, like your first base, or just your basic minimum requirements for a base, in my opinion. Okay, I don't want to necessarily get into this is how you build this is what you do there, because base building is a personal thing. It's whatever your needs are. Some people like to have theirs very functional, the way mine is right here. We have our teleporter, we have some refiners, a little save point, my exocrafts, some of my storage containers. If I go inside of this guy, I'm going to have some of my terminals. Alright, and then I also have some landing pads. Okay, one there and one over there. Okay, so this is my first base of the second save that I did, and this is just my starter base to have my basic parts and basic things that I'll need in the game. Okay, and then other folks like to be very creative with their base building. I've had the pleasure to be friends with folks on PS4 who have built flying saucers, dinosaurs, R2-D2, robots, and if you're old like me, if you remember the movie Short Circuit, Johnny Number 5. Okay, so folks get really creative with their building, and I'm in between. I have my functional bases that I need for farming and extracting and whatnot, and then I have my fun bases, like one of my bases, the video is out there for Tigress City of Lights, and it's basically a city that I built, and so you can always check out that video. I take a little tour through it. But you have all the different reasons for building, but I just want to give some basics about it. What I will say is that if you want to get into the real creative building, you will want to find some videos, and there are plenty of great videos on YouTube about glitch building. Okay, glitch, glitch building. Okay, and basically it takes base building on steroids. It lets you put pieces in angles and in places that you wouldn't normally do, that the game restricts you to, but this kind of takes away some of those restrictions. Okay, so those are, again, some of the reasons to do your base build. All right, now the first place I want to start with is my planet, and this planet happens to be a nice tropical planet, not a lot of sentinels, it has water and nice weather, no hazardous weather. Okay, so my suggestion, if at all possible, your first base, put it on a tropical planet. it'll just make your life easier than having to have either materials to feed your shields for your hazard protection, or have to have sodium for that and have to constantly feed it. So if possible, find a tropical planet and that will be your first base. Even if it has some hazardous weather sometimes, at least most of the time you don't have to deal with it. All right, so, and again, this is just my opinion. You can always, if you are extreme and you want to have some hazardous weather, have at it. All right, but this is, again, just my opinion there. All right, so I wanted to talk about some of the basic parts that I think you should get for your base initially. Now, a lot of this is going to be geared toward being functional, and it's geared a lot towards crafting, refining, extracting, and farming. Okay, so that's primarily what I'm kind of focused on when I'm talking about which kind of parts to get. If you're doing creative builds, then yeah, you may want to get some of the different pieces. So, all right, so let's just go into the anomaly here, and I'm going to go to the construction research station and point out some of those different construction pieces. All right, so let's make it back here to the station. All right. Try to hurry up here. All right, so let's start at the beginning. All right, research station. Okay. Actually, let me just do something real quick here. Okay, that's fine. Okay. So construction research station. So let's just start with the kind of pieces that I think you're going to need in the beginning. Okay. So large prefabs, and we have the different, the different sections. So we're going to go by section by section. Really quickly, with these, you're going to want to start with some of your large prefabs. It just makes things a lot easier, starting with, if you're doing farming and things like that. Makes things a little bit easier to start with. So I would say, you're going to start with your cylindrical room. You're going to want to have kind of the parts over from this side over here. You want to have the door, you want to have the ramp for sure, and different pieces to connect the corridor and whatnot. I wouldn't worry about the what I will say is that you may want to have at least the cylindrical frame, because you want to build off of the ground. Okay, and the reason for that is because in the game, even if you use your terrain manipulator to get rid of the ground, it'll grow right back into your base. So you want to build off the ground. So maybe at the very least you have your cylindrical frame, but other than that, I would concentrate on the pieces more to the right here. All right, now especially the biodome. The biodome is going to be very important when it comes to farming. Okay, so those are some of the pieces to focus on. Small prefab, unless you're going for creative at the moment, not necessary. You can get it if you like, but not necessary for what we want to do. All right, technology modules. All right, so starting here, you're going to start out with your save beacon. All right, now I would say you want to start with your portable refiner and your medium refiner. You can wait, I think, on your large refiner. Definitely your teleporter. You want to have your storage containers, just because it depends how many storage slots that you have. You may want to store some things off that you're not using at the moment, just to keep your storage clean. All right, and perhaps even the landing pad. Landing pad is nice because you can get visiting NPCs to land on your landing pad, and you can buy the ships or not. All right, so those are the things I think you should start with on the technology module. All right, next, transport modules. The roamer geobay is nice because you can get the scanner on there, and scan for, you know, ancient ruins, alien structures, supply depots, all kinds of things. So you can do a scanner there. Plus, it's a nice way just to traverse your planet. All right. So, not the most important going in, but definitely you want to get that roamer starting off. The other guys are a little bit more specialized, so I would just, at the very least, get that roamer first. All right. Aquatic construction, unless you're trying to build underwater, these can also wait. All right, decals, decorative, illumination, those are not necessary for your base to run. Those are purely extras. Okay, and you can always get later on. All right, next, and this is some of the important stuff, which is going to be your industrial modules. Okay, and this is where and we're going to talk about extracting, but this is where you're going to get those blueprints to be able to set that whole thing up. Okay, so basically anything from where you see the biofuel reactor over, okay, until you get to your supply pipe and electrical wiring, are things that you would want to get. I wouldn't worry about the electrical cloaking unit, and I wouldn't worry about the switches. Those are kind of what I would say fancy. Once you get into more complex builds, you can use things like that, because it has like proximity switches and floor switches, so when you step on it, the electricity goes on, step off, it goes away. So you don't necessarily need that right off the bat. Okay, but you're definitely going to want this stuff right in here. Okay, and we're going to talk about the different items that are in here when we get to the extracting part of the video. Okay, all right, so and then finally you're going to want to have and this is where you can get those blueprints for your plants, and I talk more about farming in the fourth video, but yeah, so this is where you can get some of your blueprints for that. And so you definitely want to get everything from that large hydroponic tray over, so that you can grow all the plants. All the other stuff under potted plant are strictly decorative, so you don't really need those. All right, and then the rest of them are going to be your shelters, just your basic building parts. And there's wooden, metal, and concrete. You get those as you move along in the game, whatever you want to build with first. All right, and then there was one more, primitive shapes. Primitive shapes, again, aren't necessary. They're nice to have, and they're also important once you get into the glitch building. So, right off the bat, you don't need it unless you're trying to get into some of those creative builds, or just, creative builds, period, not necessarily just glitch building. Okay, and then you definitely want to get some storage units. Want to, get 001 starting off. And that way you have you can get your extra supplies there. So those are the pieces that I think are helpful to have right off the bat there. And so now I'm going to just go back down. Let's see if I can find my, there we go. Find my starship. Alright, so I just wanted to get into some basics about base building, as far as what I think you need for a base. Okay, and it's actually pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So when you're trying to, let's see if I can get back to my right base here. All right, so when you need to build a base, sometimes you don't need to build it right off of the bat. For some reason, you just want to keep that location ready in order to be able to build. So so I have about 3 different things that I think you'll need just to be able to get back and forth to that location, and all you would need. Okay, so let's get down here. Okay, so first thing, obviously you're going to put down a base computer. So you know, so whatever, so let's say like myself, I like to system jump to find quote-unquote perfect planets where there are low sentinels, no predators, no bad weather, has water, those kinds of things. Okay, especially in certain colors. Okay, so when I find one that I want, and that I want to actually build something there, I'll put down a base computer to claim that area. Even if it's not the area that I'm going to settle in, it's just enough to be able to get back and forth to that planet. Okay, next I'm going to build a teleporter. Okay, trust me, you'll thank me later about having a teleporter on every base, no matter what kind of base it is. Okay, and the reason for that is because, yes, you can warp to any base, right? You can be at any space station, at any other base, and you can teleport to the base, but it's a matter of getting out. If I didn't have a teleporter here, I would have to fly up to the space station, and then I can teleport out somewhere. But I have it nice and convenient on my base already. Okay, so it just makes it so much easier getting in and out, back and forth, because sometimes you're just going from base to base picking up materials. Okay, next, I found that if you place one solar panel, okay, and one battery, okay, and hook that up to your teleporter, that is enough to make sure that your teleporter works 24 hours a day. So no matter what time you teleport into that base, it's going to be able to work to be able to teleport you out. Okay, so so that's it. That's all you need to be able to get back and forth. You don't need anything else for that until you're ready to actually build on that planet or within that system. Okay, so remember, you want your teleporter, a solar panel, and a battery. Okay, and again, the battery is so that, because the solar panels, as you can see, only work during the day. Okay, and you have the battery that will store energy during the day while the solar panels are working, so then at night it uses juice from the solar panel. So as you can see right here, all of those solar panels, those are all the storage together, and you can see it counting down. Okay, so again, that's just a real basic thing about bases. You know, like I said, I didn't want to get too deep into it. There are a lot of videos about base building depending on what you want to do and whatnot, but we're going to be talking mostly about extractor farms and then plant farms in the next video. Okay, so next topic, refining. Okay, so refining is going to be really important in the game because basically you've probably already used this with your single refiner. You can take one substance or one material and make it into something else. So for example, you can make carbon into condensed carbon. You can make ferrite dust into pure ferrite. Okay, so those are just some of them. Okay, and not only can you do just the one, but in some cases you can use 2 and even 3 ingredients all together to make something new. Okay, now most of the recipes that I think are the most important are going to be at least 2 items to make one new one. Okay, so that's why I was saying you want your medium refiner as soon as you can get it. Okay, and now the great thing about refiners is that they do not require electricity. They're completely self-contained. Okay, so that means you can put them inside a building, outside a building, wherever you want on your base, no problem. Okay, now normal building, you can only have 2 medium refiners and 2 large refiners. But with glitch building, I'm able to get multiple refiners in my base. Okay, and real easy. You just come in here and you add in your substance. Now, when you do this, let's see. So when you do this, you're going to see what it turns into. So if I just do selenium, it turns into carbon. And it's a very good yield, 1 to 2. So for every 1 selenium, I get 2 carbon back. But if I add another substance, which is phosphorus, now I'm going to get more selenium. And again, it's 1 to 2. So for every 1 selenium and 1 phosphorus, I'm going to get 2 selenium back. Okay? So, so that's, you know, the power of being able to refine. And you can get yourself to a point where you're rarely using your terrain manipulator and rarely using your mining laser, because you can get to a point where you are, and we'll talk about extracting and refining and even farming everything that you're going to need. Okay, so for example, a great example of that is going to be, for example, carbon. You know, we need carbon for a lot of things that we do. Okay, so let me take some of this condensed carbon. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, let's see, one that's empty. Okay, so I'm going to take that condensed carbon and I can refine it right down into carbon. So now I'm already creating my carbon, but I have to make sure I keep condensed carbon in order to be able to get regular carbon. And so I can do even more refining to do that. So what I can do is add oxygen to the condensed carbon, and I will get more condensed carbon, and it's actually great yield. For every 2 oxygen I get 6 condensed carbon, and for every 1 condensed carbon I get 6 back, so it's a great yield. Okay, so you can almost refine anything that you want, and again, to make it so that you don't have to go and do, kind of do the grind and go and shoot up trees and shoot up minerals and kind of run around and do that for a while. You can just use the refiners, let it let it work its magic, go do missions, whatever, come back, and the material will be waiting for you. All right. So, one of the things that I wanted to mention about refining is there's a great app out there, and it is called Assistant to No Man's Sky. Okay, and it's great, and it's you can get it in was the Google Play Store, and you know all so you know wherever you get your apps. So what you can do with that app is you can actually look up any material, any component, and you can find out how to make it, so how to refine it, how to craft it, or what you can refine to make other things. So for example, with carbon, if I'm looking at gamma root, I see that I can refine that into carbon. I can see carbon refines into condensed carbon. So any kind of thing that you're looking up. So if you want to find out, hey, how can I get ammonia without having to go and mine ammonia all the time, you can just type in the word and it'll come up and it'll tell you all kinds of information about ammonia, and you know what, you know how you can get it and what you can do. All right, so Assistant to No Man's Sky, very, very helpful. Okay, all right, so the next topic I wanted to get into, which is a fun topic here, which is extracting. Okay, so setting up extractor farms. All right, so extracting is basically using some of the construction equipment to basically mine different either minerals or different gases from from the earth, and it does that without without you having to do anything. Okay, you set it up and then it runs, and then you go collect the material, and then it fills up again. Okay, so I'm going to take you step by step how to set up an extracting farm, and I'm going to show you mine, which is where I'm at right now. And so let's get started. Okay, so first thing that you're going to absolutely need is going to be your what's called a survey device, and that is on your multi-tool, and it's used for your visor. Okay, and that you can purchase the blueprint for in the anomaly. Okay, under the multi-tool research station. Okay, so that's the first most important piece you need to have, the survey device. Okay, because the survey device is going to allow you to find these deposits of gas, mineral, or electricity. Okay, so we start with our survey device. All right, so once we have the survey device, now you can start looking for what they're called hotspots. And hotspots are basically found throughout the planet, and they are concentrations of a particular element. So there may be a concentration of copper, there may be a concentration of gold, silver, sodium, nitrogen, radon, whatever. So, and also electricity. So sometimes you have your electricity hotspots. Okay, and those are the places where you can extract those minerals or use the electricity to power your bases. Okay, so I'm actually going to fly a little bit away from my base. Alright, so let's fly a little bit a ways so I can show you how to use your survey device. Okay, I think this is far enough away. Alright. And it's real easy to use. It's kind of a trial and error type thing. Nothing's going to tell you where a hotspot is going to be but the survey device. Okay, so you press again, I'm on PS4, so you would press the L2 button to bring up your scanner, and if you look at the bottom you'll see change survey mode. Okay, and that's where you can switch so that it looks for those particular hotspots, either gas, mineral, or electric. Okay, so if I start here, that's going to be gas. As you can see, that lights up, and as you can see, no nearby hotspot found. Okay, next is going to be mineral. Okay, and this is actually very nice. As you can see the hotspot proximity. It tells you how far it is away, and if you look on the edges, you'll see it pulsing. Okay, when you're standing in the right direction of where you need to go, it'll pulse on both sides, but if it pulses just on one side, that means you need to turn until they start both pulsing. Okay, and that'll tell you what direction you need to go to get to that hotspot. Okay, and then we also have electricity, which there's none nearby. Okay, but we did find this mineral hotspot, and so if you look to your left, we don't know what the mineral is yet. Okay, potential, that's going to be the class of the hotspot. The better the class, the more concentrated that particular element's going to be, and the more you're going to be able to get out of it at the time. So S class being the best, C class being the worst. Okay, and so you don't know what you're going to get yet until you actually get to the location, but you can at least have an idea of what you're going to get. Okay, so let's go back to our regular scanner. So if we look on the right hand side and you see your available resources, you have, of course, the dominant plant, and then you're going to see the three minerals that are dominant on that planet, and those are the three minerals that have hotspots on that planet. So in other words, you will not find a copper hotspot on this planet because it's not dominant. Only indium, ammonia, and sodium. Okay, and then there's also gas hotspots, and that depends on the type of planet that you're on, dictates what kind of gas you're going to see. For example, sulfurane you can find on hot planets, nitrogen you can find on tropical planets, and radon you can find on cold planets. Okay, so that's just an example of those three. Oxygen can be found on any planet. Okay, so you can find oxygen too. Alright, so now that I've found that hotspot, I'm going to go up to it and get right to it. So it's 185 units away, so I'm going to run to it. Alright, make sure I'm still going in the right direction. You want to check that as you run along. Alright, how much closer? Alright, almost there, so I'm just going to run a little bit. Alright, turn a little bit, okay. And when you get close enough to it, it'll start to analyze the hotspot. Okay, and now we're going to see, so it's an S-class sodium hotspot. Okay, and as you can see, since it's S, your maximum density is going to be 100%, so that's the maximum amount that you could possibly get. And then density underfoot, that means where you're standing right now is what you're getting from that 100%. So right now I'm getting 99%. But if I move away from the center, you can see that density underfoot start to go down. So basically you have your epicenter of the maximum of what you're going to get, and then from there in a radius it goes out, you get less and less and less. But as you can see, you have plenty of, going all the way out here, you're still going to have some density there. Okay? All right. So that's finding your hotspots. Okay. Now, I'm going to check to see if I happen to see another hotspot. A lot of times you find one hotspot, you can find another. So let's see if I happen to find a gas. No. No electricity. No. Okay. So, but I will show you my base, and I actually have my setup in that way. Okay. So now, let me make it back to my base. Okay. So I can show you how to set up, once you find the hotspot, what to do. Okay. Alright, so let's get back to base. Alrighty. Okay. Slow it down. Here we go. Alright, so once you find the hotspot, now it's a matter of putting down the various pieces, okay, that you'll need. So in my case right here, I happen to find a gas hotspot. Okay, I found a mineral hotspot, and I found an electrical hotspot, all within a certain proximity away from each other. Okay, and what I did was I just put down a base computer in the center, because they form a triangle. So I just set my base right in the middle of it all. Okay, and you will find sometimes this trifecta here, where you'll find electrical, gas, and mineral all in the same proximity. I have found, and I read this as well, is that you'll find them almost in a triangle, the way you see them right here. Okay? So first thing I would do is I found my electrical hotspot. Okay? So I put down some beacons so that I could easily find them again, because they're a little further off from the base. So I found my electrical hotspot that I'm going to use to power my extractor base. Okay, and this is what these guys look like. All right, let me charge my shield since there's a storm coming. All right, and so what you do, again, once you have this all analyzed, I'm just going to analyze it again. All right, so once you have this all analyzed, now this is only a C class, but for me, finding an electrical hotspot the way I have it in the middle of them is just fine. A C class is fine. That just means I have to put down a few more electromagnetic generators. Okay, so what you would do is you would come in here to your tech, come all the way over to your power and industry. We're going to go into power, and here you would put down your electromagnetic generator. Okay, just right on the hotspot. All right, and so you drop as many as you want. If you look and click on them, actually if you just hover over each, you can see exactly what their output is. So 144 kps. Okay, this one has 142, 139. And again, depends how close you are to the epicenter of the hot spot, you're going to get more. So that's why you see like 146 and whatnot. But if we move away from it, it starts to get less. All right. So you would place down your electromagnetic generators, okay? And then what you want to do is you want to use your wiring to connect all of them together, okay? If you don't, then they'll be working on different grids, but you want them to work all on one grid, okay? So you would just go around here and go right into those little blue spots. It's green when you have one. Click your R2, go to the next one and hit R2, and now they're connected. And so you just want to connect them all together. Okay? Now you have your electromagnetic setup here. All right? So now, and this is what I like to do, I run, and I'm just gonna kill this when I get there. I like to run the wiring all the way back to the base. Okay? So you can run the wiring all the way back. Sometimes you have to build it piece by piece to go all the way there. But you can make it, as you can see this line here that's coming from there, you bring it all the way back to the base. Now, one of the things I do is I put a battery. You don't need a battery with electromagnetic generators. You don't need a battery at all because they run 24 hours. But I put a battery there so I can keep track of when you come onto it, I keep track of how much power is used in the grid. Okay, how much is used and how much is available. Okay, so that's the only reason why I keep the battery there. And I keep the battery there to be able to hook up the electricity for all the different parts. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. All right, so we used our electricity and we hooked it all the way back down here to our battery. Okay, so now we have our gas. Okay, so now we have our gas. Okay, and this happens to be an A-class gas deposit, so we're just going to run all the way to where that beacon is. All right, so let's say we've discovered it, and now we're going to put down our extractors. Okay, and so this is what you need to do every time when you're putting together your base here. Okay, so first thing is, again, you're going to go into your menu here, up on the D-pad, go to Power and Industry. You're going to go to Industrial. Now, if this is a mineral deposit, you're going to put the mineral extractor. If it is a gas deposit, you're going to put your gas extractor. Okay, and it'll tell you, hey, I can't find anything in this location if you happen to put it in the wrong place. Okay. Oh, that's why I keep hitting. Okay. So what you do is you go ahead and you place your extractors. All right. So I'm just gonna show you by placing a couple here. What's really helpful is if you use that L3 to toggle build mode. It just makes it easier because you don't move, but everything else does. So I'm going to put down an extractor here, and I'll do, I need some more metal plating. I'll just make some more there. All right, so I would put down however many extractors I want here. So let's say I put down the 2 here and 1 more. All right, next thing, and the next 2 things are very important. okay? You want to connect all of the extractors with your piping, okay? Connect them all. And you'll see the little blue guy pop up that tells you where you're going to connect to. I'm going to connect first down here to the existing ones, okay? You can see that guy in green. And then I'm going to connect the two new ones, okay? So connect that and connect that, okay? So that's going to keep it all in the same network, basically, okay? Next, you want to connect your electricity. Same thing, connect all of them together first, okay? So in this case, I already have electricity coming, but I'll show you about running it there. So I'm going to connect this guy, okay, and then connect these other two to it. Oops. Okay, and you'll know right away if they're working because you'll see the little red lightning bolt go away. Okay, so now I have my extractors running, and as you can see exactly how much it's going to be producing per hour. Okay, so if I click on it as well, you're going to get a little bit more info, how much time is left in the cycle. You can pick up exactly what's left, what it's been producing. Okay, so far I can produce 10,665 an hour, but my storage is about 19,750. Okay, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, because the extractors will only hold but so much. Okay, so then you have the next important part, which are going to be your supply depots. All right, and that's these guys right here. I put them a little bit further away. Okay, your supply depots are strictly for holding the materials. That's it. Okay, and the way you set those guys up is right back into your industrial. Okay, so you're going to set that guy up. Okay, again, make sure to connect all the piping together. Okay, so if you have this new guy, you're going to make sure to connect him to the rest of the guys that are already there. Okay, very, very important. All right, so now each supply depot will hold 1,000. So in addition to what your extractors will do, you'll get an extra 1,000 for each one that's there. Okay, now once you have your supply depots and you have your extractors, now if you look at this line right here, we are going to take the pipe from the supply depot all the way over to your extractors and connect it there. So now you've connected all your extractors, all your supply depots. So now everything that gets extracted, any extra will go into the supply depots. Okay, but it's just very important that you connect everything with the piping. All right, so now that you have all that connected, you're going to need, now again, this already has power, but if this was brand new, now you would need to run power to it. Same thing, you go back to your wiring, and we're going to take, we're just going to connect to any one of the extractors since they're all connected, right? And we're going to run back to where the base is, okay? And we're going to connect it to that battery, all right? Because what happens is that battery is receiving electricity from our from the electromagnetic generators. So if you connect this guy up to the battery, now you're going to be receiving that electricity can go to the other extractors. Okay, so that's why you see all this wiring. You have one that's going out to the electricity itself. You have one that's going to the mineral, and I believe this is sodium. Okay, you have one going to the transporter. I'm sorry, teleporter. and then you have one that's actually going out to the extractors for the nitrogen. All right. And then as far as sodium, the minerals, you would do the same thing as what you did with the gas extractors. Okay, you would place them down. Okay. All right, and in this case, this is a C-class, but I don't need a lot of sodium anymore, so this works fairly well for me. All right, so you do all the same things, place them down, add the piping, add the wiring, and then you want to connect the piping back to your supply depots. All right, and then you want to connect your wiring from this guy to the battery that's on your base. Okay, and let's see, so really that's all there is to it as far as setting up your extractor farms. Again, the way you want to, when you put down your base, you want to make it in between your hotspots. That way you know you're going to have a chance to get to those locations. Okay? And one of the things that I did do here is I took a supply depot for sodium and I ran it way over here so that I wouldn't have to run over there to pick up my sodium. So right now it's about 13,500, and here for my nitrogen we already have 20,000. Okay, so that's setting up your extractor farm. All right, nothing to it. Now again, I talk about how all that comes together with farming and everything in the next video. So make sure to check that guy out. Hope this has been helpful. Hope this has helped the folks that have been struggling with trying to get their extractor farm going. Please let me know your feedback, your comments. Leave them in the comments section. And as I always say, I am on PS4. My username is Tigress Nisha, same as YouTube without the space. And you know, if you want to talk anytime, let me know. And even on if you're on a different system, I've done this with a few players. Is we just talk on Messenger. That way you keep your privacy. You don't give out your number, anything like that. And I was able to help one woman out get her game started. All right, so let me know. Enjoy and happy travels.